Is it necessary for a woman to disclose to her husband the amount of her money she gives in sadaqah?
Is it necessary for a woman to disclose how much money she gives in sadaqah? The basis is that a woman's wealth belongs to her. Right? A woman's wealth belongs to her. Her wealth and property belongs to her. The husband's wealth and property, the basis is that it belongs to him, except insofar as they have agreed willfully to the contrary. Right? And therefore, what is from her earnings or her wealth, or what has been given to her, then it belongs to her. She has right of disposal over it. Right? The husband can give advice, and it follows the principles of giving advice, nasiha, which is that advice is recommended when good consequences are hoped for. There's reason to hope that there'll be good consequences. And in that, one should keep in mind that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever believes in Allah in the last day should say the good or remain silent. And the good is that which you have reason to hope will be of benefit. Nagging rarely benefits. Right? So those are the governing principles. Where it gets messy is shared wealth, right? Where you have a common account, right? Because then that common account, and it sometimes happens that one, for example, if the husband is providing more of the money in there, or the wife is providing more, then the normal case, people just spend normally, sensibly, etc. But that's where differences can arise. And everything that gives clarity and wards off differences between people is praiseworthy in the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the basis of financial dealings is taradi, is mutual agreement. إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً عَن تَرَاضٍ مِّنكُمْ, except that it be through trade on the basis of mutual agreement. And the same principle applies to all relations between two parties. That it be on taradi. They say, يعني لا إلزام إلا بالتزام. Right? You cannot make someone do something unless they agreed to, unless they took it upon themselves to do it. How? Through a contract, etc. Otherwise, you cannot force people we do not force people in believing, so let alone in transacting, which is much less consequential. So it is a problem, and it leads to a lot of dispute when people just have, well, we have a shared account, and in Jordan they have this thing, مش رايحين نختلف, we won't disagree. Well, you hope so, but it builds up and it builds up, and when you do disagree, there's big drama. That's not the way. Rather, it's considered very serious to have things that can clearly, reasonably, any reasonable person looking at it would say that could well lead to disagreement. That could lead to dispute. That's a mafsada shar'an. That is considered problematic. So one should have, it's best that one define who owns what. And if there is a shared account, etc., then one should have agreed in advance what is the ownership on that account. Is it 50-50, 60-40, whatever? And one should agree on some broad spending parameters. Right? So both parties agree, this is what we'll do. And in general, one of the things that one sees from the teaching, from the practice of the Prophet ﷺ himself with his wives, and something that the Sahaba did and was from the practice of the righteous and religiously concerned, is that it's an established sunnah to give a spending amount for the wife that it gives her a sense of security that month to month, the monthly spending is covered, and to give her some discretionary amount, bil ma'roof, in a good way, that the husband doesn't ask the wife what she'll do with that money. according to what is facilitated. So let's say the husband gives above and beyond the monthly expenses, he gives her $300 or whatever the amount may be. That's her discretionary amount. That amount, that's yours. Now, whether she chooses to buy 15 party-sized pizzas for a mega sisters party that she decided to organize, or she saves it up, that's up to her. And that, that's one way of implementing a sunnah related to financial matters. So the sunnah there would be, one, to have clarity of who owns what, and if there's spending money, like in the current account that's shared, to define clear ownership parameters and clear spending parameters. Like say, al-bayan yuzilu al-khilaf. Clarity removes difference. Clarity removes difference. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate.